Landon Barn, a man reincarnated from Earth who sought to modernize the continent of Pino, gathered the scholars Yusha and his disciples. He was preparing to change the world by building an academy dedicated to the science of weather, a task he deemed essential for the safety and progress of all nations. Understanding the ancient mastery of celestial observation, Landon aimed to revolutionize their crude recording methods into precise meteorological charts. The scholars, driven by a deep, almost fanatical passion, pledged their lives to the project, eager to serve the visionary monarch. Landon realized that even without modern satellites, the ancient world held immense potential for prediction. By combining book-recorded atmospheric data with modern numerical forecasting, he intended to shield empires from disasters, turning a simple weather project into a global necessity. The logistics of the operation were immense. Landon demanded that the scholars relocate to the capital within 10 days, setting up a rotating shift system that would integrate students and veteran astrologists alike into a unified scientific front for the Pino continent. Just as the meeting drew to a successful conclusion, the serenity was shattered. A shrill, system-generated alarm pierced through Landon's focus, a warning of extreme danger to his distant visitors. His life was now inextricably linked to theirs. If they perished, so would he. Miles away on the open sea, disaster struck. The visitors, who had endured months of travel to reach their savior, found themselves cornered on the final leg of their journey by a fleet of ruthless, greedy pirates who saw them only as high-value merchandise. Lucia, alongside her brothers, braced for an impossible battle. They had fought pirates before, but these were different, more experienced, more cruel. Her hands trembled not from cowardice, but from the overwhelming realization of the odds stacked against her people. Captain Longbeard, a veteran of the seas, saw not human lives, but gold. To him, these dark-skinned foreigners were rare and precious cargo. He ordered his men to take them alive, unaware that he was about to provoke the wrath of the most dangerous man in the continent. The battle was brutal. Lucia, exhausted and wounded from months of constant struggle, was pushed to her absolute limit. As she lay on the cold deck, staring up at her tormentor, her brothers watched in horror, the scene unfolding like a slow-motion tragedy. Just as the pirate prepared to strike the final, devastating blow, reality bent. A thick, surreal pink smoke engulfed the ships, blinding the attackers and silencing the clamor of steel. The pirates, confused and superstitious, could only watch in terror as a shadow appeared from the mist. The savior had arrived. Landon stepped out of the impossible fog, his presence casting a pall of dread over the pirate fleet. When he spoke in their native Roma, the effect was immediate. The desperate travelers recognized him instantly as the one from their visions. The pirates initially mocked the single intruder. They commanded a fleet of 5 ships and hundreds of warriors. They could not comprehend the threat one man posed. They did not understand that they were not fighting a human, but a force of nature equipped with technology centuries ahead of them. Landon moved like a phantom. Every shot from his suppressed weapon was a death sentence, delivered with absolute chilling efficiency. The pirates fell in waves, their confusion turning to utter, primal panic as their numbers dwindled under the hail of silent, invisible projectiles. Using his lethality to his advantage, Landon fashioned a barricade from the bodies of the fallen, turning the very deck of the ship into a fortress to shield Lucia and her crew. He fought not just to kill, but to control the battlefield entirely. High above the carnage, Longbeard clutched the railings in shock. His bravado crumbled as he realized his men were being dismantled by a single individual. The prestige of his pirate empire, built on decades of blood, was being erased in mere minutes. Landon pursued the leader directly. Jumping onto the flagship, he entered the lion's den, his weapons barking in rhythmic bursts. The pirates, terrified of this unstoppable assassin, began to break ranks, their desire for treasure replaced by a desperate, selfish need to survive. Broken and terrified, the pirate captain abandoned his crew, scurrying toward the safety of his secret compartment like a rat. He was a man who had commanded thousands, yet now he was reduced to a sniveling coward, praying that his hidden bolt hole would save him from the Reaper in black. Landon knew the captain was nearby. He stalked the room with calculated patience, playing a psychological game that terrified the hidden man. The floorboards creaked. The hunter had found his prey. With a swift movement, he pried the hiding place open, exposing the cowering pirate. Channeling a character from his favorite film, Landon played with the pirate's psyche, repeating the iconic line about a father's death. The psychological torture was far more effective than any physical blow, stripping away the pirate's last vestiges of dignity. Humiliation followed. Landon roped the pirate leader, forcing him to hop back to the deck in front of his surviving crew. It was a calculated display of dominance, ensuring that the Pirate Association's reputation would be permanently scarred by this single, decisive defeat. When the mask finally came off, the reaction was explosive. The travelers didn't just see a savior, they saw the fulfillment of their ancient prophecies. They wept and prayed, their faith in the divine connection between Landon and their survival solidified beyond any doubt. With the pirates neutralized and the travelers safe, Landon handed the wealth over to his new allies. He sent them toward Baymard with instructions for a safe harbor, then vanished into the sunset on his own vessel, already preparing for the arrival of his honored guests. The capital was a whirlwind of activity. Landon had 2 days to prepare, and his staff worked with the discipline of a well-oiled machine. From linguistic experts to culinary artists, every detail was polished to show the world the true height of Baymardian civilization. Landon personally thanked his staff, who viewed their work not as labor, but as a prestigious honor. In Baymard, even the help was treated with respect and dignity, creating a loyal, hard-working force that stood ready to welcome the royal guests from Ramain. The day of the arrival finally dawned. Thousands gathered at the docks, their hearts pounding in anticipation. When the fleet arrived, the atmosphere was electric. The sheer scale of the reception served as a powerful statement to the Zalipnian royals of their new alliance. Stepping onto the red carpet, the Zalipnians were overwhelmed. The city's clean lines, the majestic palace, and the genuine excitement of the crowd were worlds apart from the harsh, lawless seas they had traversed. They felt, for the first time in years, completely safe. The reunion on the palace steps was warm and historic. Landon welcomed his guests into the heart of his empire, forging a bond that would soon be cemented in treaties and shared goals. The dark journey had reached its end, replaced by the dawn of a new era. That evening, the guests were ushered into their luxury suites. The comfort of the beds, the modern technology, and the sheer abundance of resources were a revelation. Lucia and her brothers, separated by walls but linked by technology, shared their wonder over the room phones. While his guests found peace, Landon discovered a new threat. A report from Tariq unveiled the cruelty of his latest enemy, a psychopath named Marlowe Jones, the baker. The system issued a deadly ultimatum, forcing Landon into yet another high-stakes game where failure meant death.